Hey everybody, Scorpion here. So, with my last video on solar, I was I was stating that you needed to decide first of whether you wanted to put power back out on the grid and possibly get paid for it, depending upon your company that you're with, your electric company, or if you want to be standalone. That it takes some time to decide, exactly which way you want to go with that, and it changes which inverters you can and can't get, depending upon what your idea is of what you're wanting to do. If you use very little power, you can just get one inverter, be standalone, no longer need electricity. That inverter's not going to be too awful expensive. But if you use a lot of power, you can start with a small inverter and build onto them, over time. So kind of the inverter is where you kind of need to start. And if you go back a few videos, I'm trying to add a solar series together in a watch list, if this is stuff you're interested in. But I showed how to do the conversions to figure out how much kilowatts you're using, how to determine how much you need to produce, and that kind of thing. And then you can look at the inverters and which one's going to produce what, how many of them you're going to need, and that kind of thing. So with that said, I'm going to try to keep this kind of short. No promises. We'll see how it goes. My main goal is to try to get this information to y'all and show y'all the information that you need to know. So y'all hang on, and we'll be right back. Alright, so y'all bear with me. I am just recording my screen with the camera. My computer is on the fritz at the moment, so I've got a lot going on. So as you can see, there's lots of different options, lots of different prices. Move y'all over this way a little bit. We're not being professional here, but that's okay. There's a whole lot of different combinations. Package deals. Again, Signature Solar is who I'm using. I think they are absolutely amazing, and there will be a link in the description below. Takes you right to their website. Up at the top, you can click on all products and go down to inverters and start looking and playing. Some people like the grow watts, and I don't have anything against them. It's a grow watt 11.4 kW grid tie inverter. It's 1,500. Me personally, I kind of like the EG4 stuff the best. The setup, what y'all you get, products and that kind of thing. So when I was doing the current build that I'm on now, this is the first one I looked at. This will give me 110. It's got a 5,000 watt PV input and a 3,000 watt output. Only 110 volts, but would probably run the standalone system that I needed for the vendor trailer that I'm building. As you can see, $674. Not a huge price. Not that big of a deal. You can go down here. Rated power 3,000 watts, max PV input. PV is going to be your panels. 5,000 watts, battery voltage 48 volt, max charging current 80 amps. AC output 120 volts. You got your spec sheets, your manual, and your firmware all right there. Easy to find. Description, they got a nice long description showing a bunch of stuff. Additional information, warranty information. Let's see. It should be in the description actually. But this kit includes $150 value Wi-Fi stick with remote settings and adjustments, 125 amp UL listed nadir breaker and disconnect bracket, 6'4" AWG red and black battery cables. So most of these things tend to come. This is a 3-year warranty, all right, and it's serviced out of the USA, out of Texas. So as I really got to looking at it, I was like, what if I need more power? You know, what if this isn't quite enough? Let's say maybe I need to run a fan that's 120 volts, 220. Maybe I decide there's something else that's kind of a low wattage 220 use that I would want to do. And I'm stuck at 120 volts here. So some of the different things let's pull the spec sheet. Spec sheet on this, if I remember correctly, it's using 50 watts on standby. So if you're running on batteries, and it's in here somewhere, I don't know, I'm just kind of shooting from the hip here, but anyway, yeah, 50 watts. So if this thing is on standby, idle power consumption of 50 watts. This is less than 50 watts, okay? Or saving mode less than 15 watts. So if it's not running, it's still burning 50 watts of power. And that's not a big deal during the day when you've got great solar, you know, coming in, producing from your panels and stuff. But at night, if it's in idle consumption, let's say nothing's running, your AC turns off or whatever, and nothing's running, and you're still running 50 watts, that's a massive drain on your battery. Not merely a massive, but that's still over 10 or 15 hours, that's 500 watts, you know, for 10 hours. That adds up. So I got to looking at this one, and they also kind of talked me through both of them on the phone, helping me figure out which way I wanted to go. Now there's a big price difference. You see right here, huge price difference. But over time, it's going to pay for itself, okay? So this is a 6000 XP off-grid inverter. So it's an 8,000 watt PV input. That's a whole lot of power for a standalone system. Something small, especially a trailer. I don't think I can get enough panels on the roof to get anywhere close to 8,000 watts. But, you know, I'm sure if I thought hard enough, I could figure out how to do it. 6,000 watt output, 480 volt. It can do 120 or 240. Split phase, all in one solar inverter. But just like the last one, you cannot put power back out on the line with this. If it's not made for it. It's just not made for it. So you can see your breakers here. You've got your load, which is the stuff that you're running. You've got your grid that will plug into it, and you've got a generator you can plug into it. Some of your panels and stuff, you need to be cautious. Some of your panels do not have this. So if we go back and look at the other one, that's the spec sheet. So let's go back and look at this. You know, I don't see any of that there. So you would have to buy those breakers and mount them in separate boxes yourself. So that's an increase, a few $100 extra that you're going to have to pay for out of pocket. So I mean, if we pull this up, and it does not want to jive with us, but you can see that's your load breaker, but that's it. There's no other breakers in there. So that's a couple $100 extra. Plus it gives me the capability of running 220 if I want to. Some people call it 220, some call it 240, whatever makes you happy. So the 6000 XP gives me that extra. And it also, let's see, rated output 6000, input, it says max PV of 10,000 watts. 6000 XP, 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 6000 Max charging 125 amps, paralleling 16 units for 96 kilowatts. Alright, that's pretty crazy. Number of MPPTs is 2 at 4,000 watts per. You got your spec sheet, your manual, all the other stuff, certificate, all that. So let's go to the warranty information on this one. And the warranty information is seen. If we go down far enough, yeah. Let's go back up. It should be on the other page. I'm not sure why they listed as warranty information and jumped to that stuff. But your description, awesome little thing here. So 5-year warranty instead of a 3-year warranty. It's built-in switch gear, so it does the switching for you. Stackable up to 16 units, so you could put 16 of these together, stack them together for whatever amount of power you wanted. So it maxes out at 96 kilowatts output. That's a whole lot. Low idle consumption of 50 watts. So what they were telling me, low idle consumption of 30 watts for this one. So in 10 hours of battery usage, if nothing's running, the other one's going to use 500 watts. This one's going to use 30 watts. Now, you know, it's nice to have that there. This also has remote access on your phone from anywhere. So if my trailer's in Virginia and I'm in Florida, I can still see what it's doing. Alright, it's got smart monitoring. It's got real-time adjustments where it'll change stuff for you, do different things as you program it. Hassle-free firmware and live and historical data, and a whole lot of other stuff as well. So the built-in switchgear, if you buy switchgear, you're going to pay some money. Those things are not cheap. Alright, so that says if you, let's say you've got it programmed to use grid power, grid power goes down, it automatically switches to your batteries, you know, if it's nighttime. If you can program it and it does it automatically, you don't have to buy that switchgear. It does have a dedicated generator connection, but if you use that generator connection, which I showed you here in the box, I didn't really say it, but right here, this generator, you've got to make sure you have a generator that is running less than, I think, 3% basically noise. So when you're getting power in from the electric company, there's very little noise or interference in that. When you run a generator, especially if it's an old generator, you're going to have a higher tolerance. It may be 10% noise, something like that. That is not good for your electronics. So therefore, it's not good for the inverter, and it's not going to be good for anything after the inverter either. So a lot of us have the old style generators that we run our house. Thankfully, we only run them for a short period of time, normally a couple hours till power comes back up or whatever. But that is doing damage to your electronics in your house unless you have a generator inverter, something that helps muffle that noise and get it within tolerance, so it's not damaging your circuit boards and stuff like that. There is a way to bypass this problem. So you would go basically generator to charger to batteries, and then you can run that way all day long, not a problem, because you're now pulling from your batteries, not necessarily straight from the generator. So that takes the noise out of it and leaves you safe. So if you're building a system like I am installing a generator too for backup power in case my batteries hit a certain level or whatever, because I'm only starting with 2 batteries. So if I'm running a lot of power through the night at an event doing something, I may need to fire that generator up to give myself extra power. So food for thought, something you need to think about. Okay, so it depends on what type of generator you buy. The inverter generators tend to cost a lot more. You can buy a cheaper one, run it the way that I'm doing it, or whatever. But I wanted to give that to you. So neither one of these provide an output back to the grid. So with that said, if you're wanting to put back out to the grid, then you're probably going to do something like this. Hold on. You may want to sit down because the prices get crazy. Alright, so here's your price. $5,200. Okay, looks like it's marked down right now or whatever. So that's a pretty big chunk of change. But here is your difference. Okay, so this one is the 18K PV hybrid inverter, all-in-one solar inverter. So it's got all the bells and whistles the 6000 does, plus more. This can take up to 18,000 watts for a PV input. So this is your panel voltage. I think it's what PV, I don't know, I'm not sure. I know that's your panels though. You can feed up to 18,000 watts input into it. You're going to get 12,000 watts max output. 48 volt, 120 240 split phase, so you can take 120 energy from it, you can take 240 voltage from it, whichever you want. Okay, this will handle a whole lot more power. It'll invert a whole lot more power. You can put a lot more power into it. And this does also allow you to put back out to the grid. So whatever your power company says, they'll pay you per I think it's per 1,000 kilowatts or something like that. It's what they pay you. That's between you and them. You have to set that up because they have to come out, they have to change your meter and everything else. Alright, so with that said, let's run through this real quick. So it has an integrated 200 amp wire box with breakers. So that's something you don't have to buy. It has a 10-year standard warranty. It has remote monitoring and upgrades. So you can see it on your phone from anywhere. You can hang a panel in your living room, so while you're watching TV, you can see what your voltages are. You can see what your percentages is of your battery. You can see how much you're producing on the line without pulling out your phone. You can just set it up so it sits there and runs, because if you're like me, I like to just be able to look over when I want and see. I've got too much running to my phone as it is. Pure sine wave, they're stackable. You can parallel multiple units together, and somewhere in here it tells you it can do, it's a 12,000 watt output, but it can take a surge of 15,500 watts for 5 minutes. So that's stove firing up, oven firing up, AC firing up, heat pump firing up, any of that stuff. If it surges for a while, it can handle it for a little while, and then it's going to shut down if it succeeds those specifications. I do know the 6000 and this one both, there's a lot of compatibility where you set one as your slave and the others work off of it. I don't think they call it the slave one though. They call it the, I don't know. Anyway, you have to label, if you're going to stack these, you have to label which one is first, and that's the one that determines everything for everything after it. How they work together, what they need to do, talks to the batteries, that kind of thing. You can put your home grid right in it. So 200 amp relays to isolate and backup loads. You can run your 200 amps right into the box, and you don't have to worry about anything else. Of course, you want to have some type of breaker to turn it off. You know, everything that you run to this, you want to have a breaker to cut it off. If you need to swap it out and you don't have the breakers, then you're in there playing with live wires. We don't want to do that, and it's not safe. Those breakers also help. I mean, if you're running a 200 amp service and your transformer blows up outside, you want it to catch that extra surge that it's going to do, and that breaker kick, so it doesn't burn your panel up. So there's a protection thing there as well. Parallel battery, so I think you can run two different sets of batteries. So they have server racks, 6 batteries per rack. You could run 12 of them and parallel them together. PV inputs, this is it takes 3. Yeah, So this is from your solar array. So 600 volts max from your PV or your array. It does have a generator port here with AC coupling and smart load functions, which probably means you can run your generator straight in this and not have to worry about, you know, how much it's off, because it's probably going to take care of that for you. That's what kind of what it sounds like to me. We'll have to do a little bit more research to find out, but either way, you still don't want to run your generator straight into it, because you just want those disconnects between. Closed loop communication with the batteries, everything to get started, simple plug and play, and they give you videos to watch and all of that stuff. All right, so it's really good, really great information here, and I'm just kind of giving you the basis of where to start. Basically enough information to make you dangerous and make you start asking questions, because now you have some idea how this stuff works and what you need to start asking these questions and coming up with this stuff. So like I said, this was a 10-year warranty. The 6000 was a 5-year warranty. This one will put power back out on the grid that you can get paid for. The 6000 will not. It's a standalone closed, you know. And this is by no means is this any, look, you can hit videos right here, all kinds of videos come up that you can watch on YouTube and everything else. They will give you links, they show you how to hook it up. They sent me links on my stuff so I could watch and get an understanding of how everything hooks up. But yeah, Signature Solar has been absolutely wonderful to me, and I love the customer service that they have, and this is who I'm working with. Like I said, there's a link down below. Click on that link, shoot over there, do some research, look around, you know. This is not something you should make a decision on fast. You should take your time. But this is great. I guess solar has come a long way from what it used to be. So with that said, next we'll probably be looking at solar panels and kind of some of the differences in the next video. So if y'all enjoyed this, please hit that like, hit the subscribe, drop comments, questions, anything in the bottom. I'll get back to you. Like I said, I am still kind of new, but if I don't know the answer to the question, I will be glad to research it for you and get back to you. So I hope everybody's having a good week and a great day, and we'll see you next time.